Yvonne.
Hi, Evie. How are you?
I'm okay. And yourself?
Excellent. I am good. Good to go this Thursday. Happy, happy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which Thursday you're not good to go? Because I'm very, very surprised.
Oh, I'm sure there have been some. Don't you worry about that. Fewer and fewer of those occur, but they definitely still occur, Effie, without a shadow of a doubt. In fact, actually, even
Absolutely.
this morning, I felt a bit flat this morning for a little bit, and it was just like, what's that? And I just sat with it because I thought I don't actually know why I'm feeling flat this morning. And then about an hour later, that had passed, so it was just like, okay, just a blip in the system. It's all good. It is what it is. Yeah.
It is amazing, isn't it? Now you are actually telling us or giving us a little glimpse in your own way of using the pulse. Eh? That is quite amazing, and it does help a lot when you just sit with the thought that and see it in a curious way, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it works wonders for me. I mean, it is a way of being as much as I use it in coaching and everything else. It is literally just becoming this way of being that anything, even I had a message yesterday from a friend who wanted to meet up and I didn't respond straight away. And I thought, oh, usually I'm pretty off the mark with that. And I thought, oh well, why am I not responding straight away? And I knew it was because I didn't want to overcommit. There was something else that was happening on the day that she wanted to meet up. And I thought, it's the overcommitment. But had I not stopped and thought, I would have either gone ahead and done it and then thought, oh my God, now I've got all this stuff to do in one day. Or, and that's going to feel tight and that's, I'm going to be rushing, and to be honest, if I'm going to be with someone, be it a friend or anything, I want to be with them. That whole thing of rushing doesn't sit with me. So, yeah, I was really glad that I sat with the thought because then I realized what was going on and then I could deal with it accordingly. So, yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
so, but actually, that overcommitment, this like tie in quite well with what we are talking about today, isn't it? And it is
Yes.
the over responsibility loop and how we talk about this and what that looks like. So, um, I know you're doing this introduction every time, and you're saying things so well. Probably I'm going to miss a few things, but please, for the people that have joined us, the people that are seeing us on replay, send us your comments, send us your thoughts. What we are doing here every week, Yvonne and I, is myth busting. We are trying to talk about the various myths that we are telling ourselves, and we are the first ones to learn, and we hope that that helps others try and untangle some of their own thoughts and see what serves them and what doesn't. So, with this said, the first phrase here is if I relax, everything will fall apart. Hey, Yvonne, you tell us how that plays out for you or
Mm.
how it did play out for you.
Yeah, if I relax, everything will fall apart. So, yeah, again, the wording may not be my words. That's not necessarily how I would think things through. The language may be different, but the results would be the same. If I relax, everything will fall apart. If I'm not doing something, if I'm not in action, it would be the same thing. If I'm not actually doing something, then nothing will get done, or everything will fall apart, or that thing that I started won't get finished. And so that constant pressure on self and actually just holding so much tension, as if it was some kind of strategy, right? Um, yeah, absolutely bonkers. But when I was in the thick of doing that, when I operated that way, that's not what I was thinking. I was just like, I just need to get everything done, and I can't stop. And there's nobody else, and I've got to get all this stuff done. And so, relaxing for me then, I've always been able to relax, but relaxing for me then would have been when I've got everything done, then I can relax. That would have been. my process is that, yeah, of course it's fine to relax, but only when I've got everything done. Well, of course, when does this everything finish? I mean, put a date on it, please, because there's always something else, right? And I think the difference now is that rest is part and parcel. That's not something that comes after. Rest is built in. My relaxation is built in. It's part of the things that need to get done. And yeah, doing relaxation for me is a thing, right? Like today or half of today, I am just going to go for a walk. I'm going to sit down and have a read, or I'm just going to do something that just relaxes me and allows my body and my mind to just go, ooh, and know that that's all good. And that anything that needs to get done will still get done. But I don't put myself under that pressure that everything needs to be done this minute. Because actually, when we talk quite a lot about the nervous system on here, and like
Yeah.
that constant pressure on your nervous system, demand, 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 is that it becomes entrenched. This is how I function. And actually slowing down when you're constantly working from that state is really hard. It's really uncomfortable because you're literally on alert for I should be doing something. What's that thing that I need to do? Why haven't I done it? And your mind goes off into a complete spin. So yeah, I'm kind of really happy to say that that has completely changed for me, and relaxation is key. That's part of my, if I would say I had a process, relaxing is part of it. It's not this thing at the end of it, if I'm fortunate enough to get to the end of whatever. What about you?
That's an amazing strategy because it's almost like taking sabbaticals throughout your career and instead of waiting to get to retire to do the things that you want to do. I hear it like this, honestly, the way that you are describing it. Um, for me, in the past, being a high controller, high achiever, this was like definitely the case, and it came with a lot of guilt as well. I mean,
Mm,
thing came with a lot of guilt. The moment you put your foot off the pedal, you're thinking to yourself, "Ooh, I shouldn't be doing that," and the should start, and the one follows the other, and but I don't do that to myself anymore, thankfully, because it is, apart from the fact that you think you're relaxing, but now you're not relaxing because you feel guilty, and it is it's stressful to be in that relaxed state. So you think to yourself, oh, I don't want to think like this, so I may as well just stand up and do something, even though I don't feel like it.
yeah.
It is like a vicious cycle that really you don't want to be in. Absolutely. And that's how it showed up for me. But thankfully, now I am, as you say, very much like how you say it. I do give myself the time to and my reasoning, because you also for me, I needed to reframe it because there was no other way to move into that. And the reframing is that, okay, you have things to do, you have maybe a lot of things to do, but think how many more things you're going to achieve if your body is in a good state. So now all these things are written down, so you're not going to forget anything. I do that as well. Brain dumping, park it on the one side, relax properly, whatever it is, relaxing means for me. And then we start again. And I think that this really helps so much.
Mhm.
And honestly, I do achieve a lot more these days than in the past.
And that's the magic.
Yeah.
You end up getting more done because when you come round to doing the thing, whatever the thing is, you are focused, it has your undivided attention, you're physically relaxed, like your body is in a state like, yeah, we're ready, let's do this thing, as opposed to being in that state where it's almost constantly looking for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, which is exhausting. I mean, it's just exhausting. So just as you said, for me, exactly the same. When I sit down sometimes, I think, right, what did I do today? I do sometimes have lists, like you said, but then sometimes things pop up. When I write and I think, gosh, I got so much done today, but I still managed to sit down and enjoy a cup of tea. I still managed to go for a walk and have a bit of fresh air. I still managed to just drop everything and watch 10 minutes of rubbish television, if that's what I've chosen, without any guilt, because it's just like all I'm doing is allowing my body to just take time out, not feel engaged that it has to do anything. But when I go back to the doing of something, I'm refreshed and ready to go. And we say about this, don't we? Like in workplaces, if workplaces got their heads around how beneficial it is to allow their teams to stop at points during the day to just get back into, I'm going to say harmony, but balance, whatever word you like to use, into that state, how much more they'd probably get done when they were doing the focused work. Relaxation is not a curse or a swear word. It is a necessity. It's something that we all need to tap into. And I believe that it energizes us for the next thing that we have to do. So there's also that thing about understanding that if you let something go, it's not instantly gonna fall apart.
Mm.
Things can hold without you holding on to it. So allow yourself to give it some space, give yourself some space, and then come back to it. And okay, let me also just put the caveat in there is yeah, if you've got a project and there's a deadline and there's a importance and an urgency to it. I'm not saying that you just drop the project and do your thing, but what I am saying is that doesn't mean to say that you cannot let go and soften for little moments so that you can center yourself and then go back to it. Because there's more magic in there than just pushing through and yes, getting it done. But even if it's done really well, you are exhausted flat out and
Oh, yeah.
thinking, oh my gosh, if I never have to do that again, I would be delighted. But then the next day comes and here we go all over again.
And that is also the trap, because when we hear relax, we think, I don't know, we are by the pool with a cocktail and we're sitting there for like 10 days. It's not that. It definitely is not that. You can give yourself those pockets of relaxation within the day, and sometimes not sometimes, like often you can do that within minutes.
Yes,
But those minutes that you're going to take away from whatever is happening around you to really focus on yourself, your breath, your thoughts, your whatever it is, that really gives you the space, as you
yes,
said, to get back into it and get back into it with fresher eyes, or with more energy. With, I mean, these are fabulous techniques to get you to do things feeling pulled rather than pushed as well,
exactly.
isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that pull is so much more powerful. And it just reminds me of like the first four steps of the six steps that I tend to use in coaching is that pause. And pause, can be grounding yourself, just getting present, just putting everything down and just sitting still. That could look like anything. And then sometimes it's about the noticing, what's coming up for me. Am I feeling tired or am I feeling fine? Perhaps I just feel dehydrated. But, just noticing what your need is in any given moment. And that takes the next step, which is like kind of returning to yourself and just, being kind enough to say, I need to give myself what I need in order to do the things that I want to get done and to do them from a place that I feel fully able to do. I'm resourced to do. And so the fourth step is about restoration. Well, how do you restore yourself? Well, that could be, like we said, sitting down and having a read. It could be doing a bit of breath work. It could be going outside and getting a bit of fresh air and a bit of daylight. Whatever that looks like for you. There's no one and hard fast rule. But once you kind of have that rhythm and that flow, Well, it just changes your day. And I can only say that from my experience and when I see my clients utilize it and they're like, yeah, that guilt that I had when I used to stop, I'm not getting that guilt anymore. Because I know I'm going back to the thing, but I also know that in that moment I'm giving myself what I need. I'm like, oh, yes, thank you. That's what we want more of. Yes.
That's it. That's it. And like I think also there is a bit of um I know how I felt it, that sometimes you think that this is how you function. It becomes like your norm. So if somebody tells you, oh, but I sit down, I take time for myself and all these things, like my uh, answer to that was that no, 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 no. I definitely cannot switch off. And that brings us to the second, you know, phrase, which I used it exactly as it is. I can't switch off.
Wow.
And what does that mean? I can't switch off.
Well,
And
tell us.
yeah, exactly. I mean, taking it from somebody that used it so and very often, and like I identified this. And
Mm.
you see, you start embodying it to the extent that the moment you take a break, it doesn't feel like it's you. I don't know how else to explain it, but it becomes so like real to yourself that you are this almost how do you call it? Tabletop, the spinning thing.
Spinning top. Spinning top?
Yeah, like the spinning top, exactly that. Similarly, in my head, it was like that. That's who I was.
Yeah.
So of course, I cannot stop. I'll fall off. Can can you see how hard it is and how hardwired this thing is in your head? You really cannot stop. You really feel that this is who I am. How can I change myself, my character, the way I approach things? And
Absolutely.
I was lucky enough not to get um, burnout because this is exactly, like how that spinning top takes you, where it takes you. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, for me that I relate to that so much. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had the I can't switch off because yeah, I feel like I've always been able to switch off, but sometimes it would be a long stretch before I switched off, but I would get there. And I think my restless, that the saboteur language that would have come from my restless would have spoken into that. Oh, but you need to do this one more thing. Just do this one more thing, and then you can put everything down. So it would have been probably a little bit more like that for me. Did you just no, 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 okay, hold on, just do one more thing. There would have been always like that push to just do a little bit more, just do a little bit more, and then it's done. But of course it's not done because then there's another one other thing that you could do, right? So this is that cycle. But like you said, it becomes embodied and you start operating and it becomes normal. And so when you, even with the best advice in the world, even when you're hearing it, oh my goodness, relax, oh my, I wish I could, it's the kind of thing you end up saying because I'm like, that doesn't exist in my world. I don't even know what that looks like. Because your nervous system has been trained to be on high alert 24/7. It has been trained and therefore it's literally like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And so even unpacking that, not just the language, but the retraining of the body so that it gets out of that reactive state, knowing that it can be done. So, first of all, to say that it can absolutely be done. But first, you need to be aware that that's what's happening, and then you need to be willing to make the changes so that you can come away from that because it's incredibly damaging. And we talk about the nervous system a lot, and I know it's kind of, I want to say like it feels like it's everywhere. But I always like the systems that we have internally are precious. They are the things that make us function. When we damage them, and we do, when we are stuck in these loops that are exhausting us, that are keeping us on high alert, all of these things, it's incredibly damaging. We can't see the damage and we don't know it until it becomes an external thing and our legs are taken out from underneath us. And that is the build-up of all of that. And then the body just says, I'm done. Right.
Yeah.
Now deal with that.
Well, I did say that I was lucky enough not to have a burnout, but the thing is that I don't know what kind of damage I have done to my nervous system, and potentially, okay, like I always joke because I have a very short fuse as a Greek, but is it really that? Or is it that my nervous system is in that state, or it was in that state that I could not really manage it in the right way, or that was like because I use this as like the venting mechanism for myself, and then that allowed me to reset. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is the right way, or it is a beneficial way for me or for anybody around me when that happens. But this is, you see, these are the things that we need to really ask ourselves. And
Yeah.
for me, the revelation was that okay, that's not you. Like when I sort of separated the identity from
Mm.
action, and like also the fact that okay, that's not you. Oh, fine. What happened? I learned it. Okay, so since I learned that, I can learn something else. So let's start the process of learning something else. And I can't say that it is an easy process. And okay, one day you wake up and you are a completely different person. But if you're willing to just take that one step every day, that like allows for the neurons, like they're rebuilt in your mind and in your head.
Rewiring.
Rewiring, exactly. That's
Yes.
what I was looking for. And you allow for that to happen, then yes, eventually, one day, you're going to be like, oh, now that's not me anymore. I can see that I am reacting in a different way, that I
Yeah.
feel different, and I can choose. Basically, it's not about no, this is not me. It's about okay, do I have to act like this today or some other way? And I can choose. And this is so like wonderful, honestly. I mean, there are so many words I can use for that, but wonderful, I think it is really what it feels to me.
Yeah. And I was just picking up on when you were saying about the nervous system and the damage that we do. I mean, fortunately, our bodies are magnificent. And I cannot think of another word that supersedes that one. Our bodies are magnificent. The ability to recover, the ability to rebuild, it is so powerful. However, it does require us to notice that things aren't as they are meant to be or need to be, and then okay, so what do I need to do differently, or who do I need to get support and help from? I mean, all of those things start to come up, and understanding that that's important for us to notice, and at the same time realize, and this is where the challenge becomes, because our world is so driven by foot on the pedal. There is so much pressure to perform and so little pressure to relax, right? All the pressure is on the perform. Do, keep doing, get better, climb the ladder, da, 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 da. Now, there's nothing wrong with climbing ladders. There's nothing wrong with, wanting to be brilliant at what you do. Why would you be anything less than that? Because that's inbuilt within you anyway. However, all of that takes rest, recovery. Respite, all of those things are part of that. And when we pull all of that out and we just slam our foot on the go, there's a price to pay. There's just, the simple part is there's a price to pay. And I always just think that when you allow yourself to go that route, foot on the pedal, you just keep going, I can't switch off, I go, 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 you then have burnout or something else because that kind of pressure will usually build disease. Then it's like, so now how much time do you need to not be doing something to recover? Whereas had you had those moments, had you taken those little moments along the way, would you ever have ended up in this space?
Not likely. Not likely. That's it. The there isn't, I think, throughout the work that we do, the one thing that I have really like taken from it and value very much is that sense of like listening to our bodies, listening to our needs, not considering all these things as a luxury that some of us can have and some of us can't, because we all have not only the right, but as you have said in previous discussions, like it's not only that this is not a luxury, it's like an absolute must that we need to listen to our bodies in no matter what circumstance we find ourselves, because without a body that is like really replenished and in good state and energy, it's very hard to get out of any situation. And even the worst of situations deserve for us to be like in a good state to get out of them. So this is what I really value, that I have like placed myself in that position where I notice myself
Yes.
and I can see what I need and give it to myself when I need it. And it is, I know some people might think, and I know I felt that years ago, like thinking that, yeah, it's easy for you to say, I have like 3 million things to do and so many people that depend on me and I don't know what. Blah, blah. Yes, I hear you and I understand, but we will always say here, imagine how much more you can give of yourself to all these people that depend on you, to the situation and stuff, that if you are in a good state and you're not in that depleted, feeling sorry for yourself state. And we all do that to ourselves.
Yeah. And there is a massive difference between showing up for others from a place of joyfulness, bountiful energy, vitality, than from depletion. Not
Mhm.
least because when you're depletion, it is everything just is a task. It's just hard, it's uncomfortable, it's like, oh my gosh. And that sense of resentment and all of those potential things. And I have people that say, oh no, I never feel resentful. And that's absolutely fine. But on the same side of the coin, they'll say, I don't feel resentful. I just feel guilty if I don't do it. If I don't do all these things. Guilt, shame, resentment, what all of these things, none of them are feeding you in a positive way. None of them are lifting you. So it's even whatever it is that is underneath that you're experiencing, being able to recognize that, how is that helping me to show up and do my best and be my best, serve from my highest self? How is that happening? And then just imagine if you felt resourced and well rested, what might it look like then? be able to see both of those and then start to say, well, where do I want to operate from? If I had the choice, even if you don't think you have the choice at the moment, if I had the choice, where would I want to operate from? And then start doing the little micro things that allow you to operate from the state that you want to be operating from, not the one that you have become accustomed to operating from.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I think that's the most amazing advice. Just as you said, even if you don't believe that's you, just imagine it just for a moment. Um, it's not so difficult to do if you really allow yourself just we all daydream, right? So just dream that. Let's see
Yeah,
how that plays out. What
yeah,
does that feel like? And you might really be surprised.
absolutely. Yeah, dream well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, I feel like we're there.
We are one more
So,
Thursday. Thank you so
yeah,
much, Yvonne.
thank you to Evie. Thank you for, and to everyone who's tuned in. Any comments, any thoughts, really happy for you to leave them below the video.
Okay, so see you next week.
Indeed.